What's up, everyone? You're watching Cannell Games, back with another episode of Football Manager 2017, and we're into the second season of our lower league save with my custom-created club, Cannell Independent. We've been promoted to the 8th division of the Mid-Sussex Football League, and we're going to take a quick look at sort of our preseason, I guess, and how the squad is shaped up. We'll look at our transfers. We'll look at our league and what we're sort of going to be looking at for the duration of this season, as well as the club expectations and some of the unfortunate frustrations of being an amateur club in England. So let's take a look first at our preseason. Not too bad. 2 wins, a draw, and a loss. You can see that our form gradually improved as we sort of hit our form, and then we did play our first match, the Mid-Sussex Junior Cup first round, where we defeated Crawley United 3-1. This match had our new addition, Matthew Clark, scored 2 goals in the 86th and then 89th minute. It was a good little comeback, down 1-0 after the 70th minute. And then Ryan Salmon, who else, and then Matthew Clark came on in the 81st minute and quickly put 2 into the net. So he's one of our new signings, and we'll take a look at him, as well as a bunch of other players in a little bit. The other thing that I want to draw your attention to is 75 attendance, our club record, I think, so far. So we should actually make quite a bit more money this season. Our balance isn't looking great, but if you actually look at our income, we actually got some sponsorships. I don't know where to find all this right now, somewhere. But we actually have a kit sponsorship this season. Our season ticket holders increased like 10, 20-fold, which, you know, from I think 12 last season to whatever it is now is still not super significant, but our growth is actually quite impressive. And hopefully will help us moving forward. The frustrating thing, however, as an amateur club, is that despite not paying any wages to our staff, the board refuses to expand the allotment of staff that we're allowed to have, so I can't actually hire anyone extra to sort of diversify our coaching staff or to hire an under-23 team manager. And we'll take a look at that. I actually have an under-23s team this season. We have our under-23s, we have our under-18s, and then we have our main squad, which we'll look at in a second. Because the under-23s and the under-18s have now been entered into a proper competition, proper youth competitions, whereas the under-18s last season strictly played friendlies. So we should be able to actually have some real development for our second team, the under-23s, and then for our youth team. So after our season, sort of through that with the off-season, not a whole lot of moves in terms of the outs. We got rid of Kelvin Sullivan and Paul Houghton, our 2 less than stellar striking options. Paul Houghton had sort of, his moments. He scored 2 goals for us in 10 appearances in the league, but he just didn't really cut it statistically speaking. And then Lee Parsons, getting older, wasn't going to feature, so we decided to move into a different direction. And he actually got snapped up by Newcastle Benfield, so good for him. He's getting paid now after his single season as an unpaid player. He's not listed here, but Ashley Willis-Croft, I think he should be here. Yes, so he retired, and that's how we lost him. But we have quite a bit of players coming in, and one of those big reasons is because we got an under-23 team, so I had to populate that by promoting some players from our under-18s, sending some players down from our main squad who just didn't really cut it, and then filling it out with some players who I thought would be maybe a good signing for the future. So one of those was Jamp Lamplow. Anyway, fullback with some pace, can defend okay. He's not great. He's considered a useful player. Right now he is with our first team, but we'll sort of see a lot of depth signings as well, and just trying to pick out some key attributes for a lot of players. A lot of players at this level won't be the well-rounded players that you'll see at higher levels, so you want to pick stuff out like, their physicals look pretty good, and then with defenders, I try and find something with marking and tackling to at least see that they're capable of playing the position. Obviously, the mentals at this level aren't going to be strong, so anything at that level is just a bonus. Elliot Jones is one of our central midfielders, 18-year-olds, one for the future. He's currently with our under-23s. Not a whole lot to write home about. His physicals look pretty good, though. Jack Fixter, our right back, and he is actually looking a little more well-rounded. He can also play in the center. He's an inverted wing back because he prefers the right side but plays on his left foot. Not great physicals, but actually for this level, decent mentals with nothing drifting below 5 except for his composure, which is actually fairly rare to see. And you'd say, oh, those stats are pretty pathetic. Yes, they are, but remember, we're in the 21st tier of England. After him, we have Eddie Clark. This one is certainly for the future. He's 17 years old, but he has sort of the elements of a proper center back. When you get to higher levels, you'll see a lot of players actually have a similar, what is this? Octagon? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes. All right. So a similar octagon in terms of their attribute distribution. So he's got the model of quality center back. So it's just to see if he will actually develop into such. And we'll see that moving forward. Tamar Clayton-Nout. He's a winger with some pace, some technical ability. We've actually changed our tactic, and I'll be looking at that a little bit later. Good first touch, good crossing ability. He's an out-and-out winger with decent pace, agility, and acceleration. So he's going to stay out on the wing, use some of his technical abilities, and cross the ball into the box for our quality strikers at the front. Albie Sharpen, who's already been called our worst signing, and that may be true. He's already with our under-23s. Again, some of my signings, I sort of have to just roll the dice with them. Because if you remember from last season, our scouting department doesn't really get me a whole lot of information. They give me some bit of feedback, and then they might isolate one or two of their abilities, and I sort of just have to take a guess. And so I took a guess with Albie Sharpen, and hasn't really panned out. But he's got some decent qualities here. He's got good finishing. He's basically Paul Houghton. All right, so we've dropped Paul Houghton, and we got a younger version of Paul Houghton. Bit better in terms of the mentals. So he may not feature a lot, but he's on our under-23s team, so there you have it. Connor Martin, another winger. He's actually our starting right winger right now. A little more well-rounded than Clayton-Nout. Not as good of a crosser, but a little more well-rounded of a player. So he's done fairly well in his games, in his run-out so far. In his friendlies, a goal and 2 assists, 7.1 rating. In his single cup game, 7.3 rating. So he's done fairly well. Matthew Clark, he scored 2 goals in the Junior Cup in his lone appearance. Pretty well-rounded striker. You can see, fairly evenly spread across all the abilities. He's sort of a jack of all offensive trades and a master of none. Not great physical traits, not great finishing traits, but he's got the job done. The 8 passing is certainly something different and will offer us a little bit of versatility going forward. Whereas, looking back at Ryan Salmon, I think if we can go check, I think his passing is 1 or something like that. But Matthew Clark is also only 17 years of age, so he's going to be a good option off of the bench. Almost there. So Nathan Rendell, another striker. You can see he's in the shape very much in the mold of Ryan Salmon. And Ryan Salmon's 28, had that very difficult knee injury, ligament injury near the end of last season. And Nathan Rendell is a youth player released by Wigan. So comes from a good youth academy, has pretty good physicals in terms of his pace, 10 finishing, lots of room for him to develop, and he's sort of in the same mold as Ryan Salmon, who did very well at this level moving forward. So a striker in this mold will hopefully find some success as well. And I'm thinking the combination, like right now I'm playing with a single striker up front, similar to what I did last year. You'll sort of see the 4-3-3 that I've moved to now. It's changed a little bit from last season. But if I want to move to a 2-striker setup, Nathan Randall and Matthew Clark could be a good strike partnership at the front. Matt Shaw, center back, one that turned out to be pretty disappointing once I signed him. Has some decent mental attributes, but nothing really stands out. His pace is really worrisome, has some decent marking ability, but he's with our under-23s. I don't expect to use him. Scott Quinn, another striker. I signed too many strikers because I wanted a good striker. We released 2 of our strikers. He has great finishing, good teamwork, good work rate, some decent flair, okay pace. He's basically our complete replacement for Paul Houghton. Better than Albie Sharpen. Not good enough, but they're free, right? So I grabbed them all, and then we'll see sort of who. I'd rather have more players at the start of the season than not enough, and we'll sort of see who finds their way into the starting 11, and then we can go from there. Kieran Slatter, another winger. I signed quite a few wingers because I was moving to a different formation. He's 19 years old, going to play with our under-23s. Redmond Adams, defensive midfielder. We needed a little bit more of just more players in the center of the park. So he was one that I signed, 17 years old, one for the future. His attributes are already starting to go down, so hopefully he can recover. Oh, right. It's because he has a pulled hamstring already. Forgot about that. So he's suffering a little bit, but hopefully he'll get healthy. And at 17 years of age, there's some room for improvement. Tyler Walton, our central midfielder. sort of in the same mark as, I want to say Callum Woods. Callum Woods, that's the guy. I'm starting to remember their names now. Has good pace, some decent technical abilities. More in the mold of a winger, but he's more attuned to the middle of the park. So we'll see how that plays out right now with the under-23s as well. And then Niall Maher, we signed a new goalkeeper, and look at him. He actually looks like he could be functional. I'm surprised I'm not paying him at all, to be honest. He's not great by any means, but certainly players at other levels. There are goalkeepers like that in youth organizations around England, so I'm actually surprised to have him. And I wouldn't be at all surprised if he ends up getting taken away from me throughout the course of the season. So if we take a look at our squad right now, Niall Maher is our starting goalkeeper. We still have Greg Robertson, but look at how he was our star goalkeeper last season. And you compare the two, and it's just night and day. So Maher's going to be a huge stand-up performer, at least for as long as we have him moving forward. If we take... Now, I'll get to our tactics in just a second, but if we look at our competitions, the board has quite a bit of different expectations for us this season, whereas last season they're just like, don't finish last, get to the first round in the cups. If you look across, win the league, win the Brian Hall Challenge Cup, win the Mid-Sussex Junior Cup, win the Parsons Challenge Cup, and win the Tester Challenge Cup. They expect us to win everything this season. So the board has certainly heightened their expectations. And maybe I'll come to regret the fact that during the offseason I received about 18 offers for interviews to move to other clubs, but I'm not interested in jumping clubs. This is not a journeyman save, although working your way up from the 22nd tier could be an interesting save for someone else to take on, but I'm not going to be doing it with this one. We're taking Cannell independent as far as we can, so we're going to focus on maintaining that. So yeah, lots of expectations for us. Now, the actual league, only 9 clubs as opposed to 11. So our season's actually going to be a little bit shorter. We still only play each team twice. So as opposed to a 20 game campaign last season, we have a 16 game campaign this season. Same deal as before though. Top 2 get promoted. Now this time the bottom 2 get relegated, and I'd really hate to see us go down, but I don't see it happening. Heath Rangers was the team that came up with us. And our first match, we can see we have 3, and then we have our cup. So what we're going to do is I'm going to play this match today. I'm going to play these 2 and the Mid-Sussex Junior Cup. We'll play the Brian Hall Challenge Cup. And then we'll sort of, with all these cup competitions, I'll again stick to the cup competitions until and if some of the league games get more important near the end of the season. So our first game of the season will be against Dynamo Chicken Kiev Maidenbauer. There are some interesting names in the lower divisions. We also have Cuckfield Development, Nutley, who remember we played last season. We have some real sounding places like Crawley United, Ardingly, Heath Rangers, Barcombe, Hencross Village, I suppose, Nutley. If that's a place and I mocked it, I'm sorry if you're from Nutley. But Cuckfield is a little funny sounding. And then certainly Dynamo Chicken Kiev is the winner of names here. Unfortunately, they're not expected to do overly well. We are picked to go up. Fairly heavy favorites to move up, which is nice to see. So hopefully we're able to meet expectations moving forward. If you look at the Media Dream 11, we absolutely dominate it, much like we did last season, with 10 of the starting 11 being our players. So as we're going to move into our first game of the season against Dynamo Kiev, or Dynamo Chicken Kiev, Maidenbauer, their second team. We'll also take a quick look at the tactics, explain what I'm going to be doing moving forward, and then we'll jump into the game. So this is the tactic that we're going to be going with this season. I think I said 4-3-3 earlier. I made a mistake. It's a 4-2-3-1. We do have the diamond and our narrow 4-3-3 still available if we want to drop back to that. But this is something that I want to try moving forward, get a little more skill, get a little less congestion in the middle of the park. You can see we have Nathan Randall as our starting striker at the top, playing the poacher role. Behind him, who else but Mick Dodds as a shadow striker. On the wings, we have Connor Martin, our supporting winger. And on the left side, even though he's not comfortable there at all, I'm starting Reese Hayes and trying to train him into an inside forward. He played last year as an advanced playmaker and had quite a bit of success, but he has pretty good long shots, decent. I'm hoping he'll get a little bit more pace and acceleration and stuff like that. Obviously improve his dribbling. But his long shots and his technique and flair may lend himself to being an inside forward, but we'll see how that goes. We have other options out there, such as Joe Harrison, who's a little bit more of a conventional winger. Still not trained there, but he'll get there. I couldn't really find anyone to fill the attacking left midfield role, but I'm sure we'll get somebody eventually. I'm not overly concerned about it. So continuing from our front four, we have Ollie Hotchkiss and Leroy Jennings in the middle of the park. Ollie Hotchkiss taking on the supporting central midfielder role. Jennings sitting a little bit deeper as a defensive, deep-lying playmaker. Our back line, we have Lamplau as a defensive fullback. We're giving Logan Jeffs, our signing near the end of last season, didn't really find match fitness, didn't really fit in with the squad. He's going to be one of our starting center backs. Jay Taylor, our second choice for player of the year based on the fans choosing. He's going to be our other center back. And then Jack Fixter playing an inverted wingback. We'll see how that works. I don't think I've ever really played with inverted wingbacks before, so we'll see actually how that works out moving forward. On the bench, we have Neil Kibaki. He was our starting center back last season. He'll probably find some rotation between the three of those players. Darren Clark, a little more defensive option off the bench. Matthew Clark, Carl Stone as our left back, and Joe Harrison as our winger. Matthew Clark can also play as an attacking right midfielder, so gives him a little bit of versatility. And Ryan Salmon's going to be starting from the bench this season. But player of the year, sorry, bud. He'll find his time. And then also another winger on the bench. So, again, we only have 5 subs, so a lot of these players won't be able to get, it sort of limits how many players we can sort of try and work into the side on a given day. For the instructions for this tactic, we're going to start with standard flexible shape, and our instructions are pump the ball into the box, whipped crosses, play wider, be more expressive, and play to a higher tempo. We'll see how that works moving forward, and then obviously we'll make adjustments as we see fit throughout the season. Obviously, pump the ball into the box is a very situational thing. It's just something I like to start with, and worked fairly well throughout the preseason. But we'll see how that moves throughout the progression of the regular season. So let's get this game started. So here we have the start to the second season of Cannell Independent. You'll see that I've moved to 2D Classic. I was getting a little bit of performance issues, especially with my recording, so I figured we could move to this. It still works out pretty well, and then obviously our goal highlights we'll move into 3D. Our first chance could come here. Hayes on the wing, plays it in the middle, no one can get on the end of it. Back to Jennings, up to Fixter, in that inverted wingback, in that inverted wingback role. Randall, I was paying attention to this. I didn't even see what happened up there. But Nathan Randall scores. I'm not sure where the keeper was. We'll have to see that in the replay, but I wasn't paying attention to that at all. I was just interested in the wingback playing sort of a deep-lying playmaker role. So it's played forward, just sort of touches it through the keeper, and then Randall's all by himself for an easy tap-in. For his first regular season or non-friendly goal as a member of Cannell Independent, Mar claims the header in easily, and we're set to gain control once again. So this, because it's a little more higher tempo and we pump the ball into the box, I'm not expecting as much possession domination as we had last season, but it'd still be nice to win the possession battle, of course. Lamplau plays it forward. No one can get on the end of it there. Jennings dispossesses him out to Martin. Martin cuts inside, wings it all the way over to Reese. Hayes can't get on the end of it. Martin picks it up again, plays the long ball forward to Hayes. Hayes across goal to Randall. Randall in the back of the net. He's got a brace within the first 20 minutes. He's made an immediate impact as a starter on this squad, and I'm very happy with his signing thus far. And it's making sitting Ryan Salmon feel a lot less worse. I'm still sad we bonded over one season together. That's some pretty poor goalkeeping. You got to be able to grab that. But it's making it a lot easier of a pill to swallow that our player of the season last year is not going to feature a whole lot. McDodd's holding the ball, plays it back to Jennings, makes his run up. Martin cuts in over to Randall, to Dodds, over to Hayes. Hayes cuts in just over the net. And that's what I like to see from him. He's adapting that inside forward role. Good to see moving forward. Yeah, it's just a really good start for us. Taylor gives it back to Hotchkiss, controlling the ball here again. Martin playing it back to Dodds. Dodds over to Hotchkiss. We're getting the possession battle won now as well. Jennings gets dispossessed there. They can counterattack a bit, but we have men back to stop any of that real quick. Lamplau dispossesses him very nicely. Plays it into Dodds. Dodds Over to Hayes. Hayes going to try a through ball into Randall. Can he get a hat trick in the first? And he can. 25 minutes into the 26th minute there. A hat trick for Randall. This may be its first game of the season. First game of the season, but this league may be a bit of a romp. And I'm okay with that. But if they play too well, they may get a little too big for their britches, maybe, and we could become victim of a lot of semi-professional teams poaching our players, which wouldn't be a good thing. Obviously, with no transfer windows, we can sign players whenever we want. But based on this start, I like these guys, and I would like to keep this team together, please. So at least for the 16 games of this season. But early on, just on the side netting there, they have had 5 attempts towards goal, but I haven't seen Mayer have to do a whole lot. Here's Dodds, free kick specialist. Not much he can do there, but we win the corner anyway. Quite a few chances early on. Defensively, we might seem a little bit vulnerable. We're giving away our chances, but I haven't really seen too many of them as quality chances. They have had a single half chance. We've had 3 clear-cut chances. But it's hard to see not in highlights if it's really our defense getting cut up. We're a little susceptible to counterattacks here, but we've been doing okay. Now, the good thing about Randall scoring the hat trick is I won't have to take him off on 2 goals, and I know how some players can get upset about being taken off after scoring only 2, so I'll be able to take him off in the 3rd and give Clark a bit of a run out, I think. So nothing but positive things to say there. Reese Hayes with the ball again, and we could really put the game really out of reach here. Randall heads the ball onto nobody, but wins the header there against the Dynamo Chicken Kiev defender. Now, with a lack of real adjustments or anything, we will see if the opposition makes a lot of adjustments and starts to get us in trouble. That one's off the bar. A little dangerous there. Randall, one-on-one against the defender. Holds the ball up, plays out to Martin, who's got a ton of space on the right wing. Gets down the field, plays the ball in, deflected for another corner. McDodds looks to whip in the corner. Sees someone get on the end of it, but the goalie comes out and claims that. He's been very aggressive commanding of his area. He came out and that burned him once on Randall on the first goal, but it hasn't really seemed to negatively affect him in terms of jumping out and claiming those balls there. So into the 60s, I think I'm going to make a substitution here. We'll bring in Clark. Plays more of a deep lying. We're going to put him as a deep lying forward. And maybe give who hasn't been playing overly well. So our center mids haven't had much to do. It's really just been, not sure what else we can do here. Darren Clark, we'll put him in, ball winner. You know, keep a nice defensive structure here. It might disconnect us a bit from our wingers, but that's okay. We're up 3-0. So 2 substitutions. Want to try and give some rotation to my players as much as possible. I'm pretty happy with how they've played so far, but I do like to make substitutions and use my 3 substitutions to give everyone some playing time. Because you never know when someone's going to go down or get poached away from you by one of the semi-professional clubs. Clark tries an ambitious shot from outside the box. That's not what you're in the side for, Clark. Strong defensive play. Midfielders have done okay. Reese Hayes has had a very good game. And then obviously Randall is our man of the match, undisputed. Drawing to a close here. It's been a fairly drab half. We'll bring Joe Harrison in, play him as a winger. Give him some playing time, and hopefully he can acquaint himself as an attacking left midfielder, as opposed to just a left midfielder. Something that I'd like to have, because we don't really have any other alternatives there, because Reese Hayes isn't comfortable, Harrison's not comfortable. Trying to salvage a goal here, break our clean sheet, deep cross, just wide of the net. Counts as a half chance, but that should just about do it. So a 3-0 victory to start. I thought it was going to be a lot more substantial based on the first 25 minutes, if I was being honest. But 3-0 is nothing to be disappointed about. Didn't really generate a lot of chances in the second half. Here's Martin. He's going to get a shot on net. No, tries to play it into the middle. Very unselfish of him. I've seen a lot of players try that, narrow angle shot. It was good to see him try and actually play it into the middle here. Can he get another cross in? Plays it to the top of the 18-yard box, but gives it away. And that'll just about do it, I think. We're over the amount of time here, and that should do it. All right, so the goalie gathers the ball, hoofs it forward. This game's going on forever. And we have a foul. Wonder what the ref's waiting for. There we go. So, end of our first match of the season. Cannell Independent 3, Dynamo Chicken Kiev 0. Not much to say except that was a great win. Good start for the team. Probably should take it off, pump the ball into the box. It worked out well for us, but we didn't really hold possession all that much and couldn't generate a lot of chances. We were playing it forward a bit too much. Maybe with Randall in the side, but once we took him out, we looked very pedestrian. Now, I don't want to overreact. We were already up 3-0, so maybe the team just wasn't as ambitious moving forward. But obviously, I want to keep scoring goals. You know, any sort of improvements that we can make to the side, I want to try and make those and secure our promotion to the 20th tier next season into the 7th division of the Mid-Sussex Football League. So, as I said earlier, I'll probably play the next 3 games, and we'll get back for, I believe, the first round of the Brian Hall Challenge Cup. Remember, the board expects us to win all 3 of our matches. And we have the Parsons Challenge Cup. We have the Division 8 game, and then we have the Mid-Sussex Junior Cup. So I'll play through 3 or 4. I'll play either these 3, or maybe we can do these 3, and then we'll do both matches in our next episode. We'll see how I'm feeling. So good start to the season so far. Our team's starting to come together, has some good fitness, but we do have quite a few cup competitions this season. So for a team that is an amateur team and we don't get a lot of time to practice, or they're certainly a part-time team and they don't have a ton of fitness, especially in terms of stamina, the amount of fixtures, if we do well in these cups and try and meet board expectations, we could find ourselves in some trouble regarding fitness. So maybe it's a good thing that we have a bit of a deeper squad with our under-23s and our under-18s, although our under-18s aren't a very strong group, as we already saw last season. So that'll just about do it for this episode. If you enjoyed, please leave a like or subscribe. Leave a comment below if there's anything that you'd like to see. And thanks for watching, and I'll speak to you next time.